You're listening to Both Sides of the Front Porch. Two Southern voices, two different perspectives, one real conversation. Pull up a chair. It's real talk, y'all.
Hey y'all, I'm Tammy.
And I'm Edward. And
we are both sides of the front porch.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Both Sides of the Front Porch. It is 2026.
I can't even believe that we're here and we're back on our front porch.
I know. We kind of decided to set it up again in the original setup. So, yeah. So, how's your New Year going so far?
My New Year is going great. So far, so good. I mean, no complaints. I came into the new year with a whole new outlook on things. So I'm pretty excited. How was your Christmas?
It was okay, not too crazy. We went to South Carolina like the Saturday before Christmas, and then it was just me, Scott, and Chris here at the house Christmas Day, and so we cooked and just kinda chilled here at the house, so nothing too crazy. How about you?
Right. So I left Buckhead at 2 o'clock on Christmas Eve. I did not get back home and settled. Now I would come home, go to bed, get back up, out and about again. I did not get home and settle. Now Christmas Eve was on Thursday? No,
Okay.
Wednesday.
I
Wednesday.
cannot remember.
I was not back home and settled until Sunday night about 7 o'clock.
Crazy. Well, I'm so enthusiastic about 2026. I'm very I guess I'm the type of person that believes in like New Year's resolutions and, setting goals and, obviously trying to achieve those goals. So I've really made some pretty strong goals for myself and my relationships, not only personal, but my relationships with my friends and with work and stuff. So I'm really excited about 2026. I already have a good feeling about it. And you girl, look, this week on Friday, I go get my tooth extracted.
Oh, here we go.
I had to go today and do the pre-op appointment. So come Friday, I will be under IV sedation and having my tooth extracted. So I'm excited about that. So we're starting 2026 off doing the right things, doing what we need to do.
All right now. Do I need to come and get you and make sure you get home okay?
Well, Scott's going to go with me. I went to the pre-op appointment today, and I thought maybe I misunderstood them, but they originally told me that I didn't need a driver. Well, I go today to do my pre-op, and obviously, since they're doing IV sedation, they was like, "Oh no, you have to have a driver." And then they tried to say I couldn't drive for 24 hours afterwards. Well, honey, all I know is after my extraction, I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna sleep for a couple hours, and then I have to travel an hour away to pick up the puppies because they're being groomed. So I have to travel an hour away to pick them up and then bring them back home. But I'll come home after the extraction and sleep for a few hours, and then go get them and come back.
All
I'll be fine.
right.
Girl,
Well, that's a lot.
I've driven under worse conditions. So I think I'll be okay.
Let's don't talk about that.
I know, but
Are you
we
are you
stayed in
taking
town
them
for a
to the
few years.
same
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So are you taking the puppies to the same groomer that Loki goes to?
No, no, no.
Okay.
They go to a groomer up in North Georgia where Chris lives. So they've been going there since they were babies.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, they go up there.
Gotcha.
But we stayed here for New Year's and went out. And girl, I'm getting too old. I am getting too old. I was just like, well, we went to the one club, and then after that club, we actually left and went to the after hours. But that's a lot for anybody, when you going out at 11 o'clock at night and then not leaving the clubs until like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, the next morning. That's a lot for anybody. I don't care how old you are.
Look, when you left that club, I'd already been in bed 4 hours. I was sleeping so good.
I know I should have been, but it was fun. We enjoyed it. So, but happy New Year, everybody. We really want to thank y'all for the support for 2025. I know we're just getting started, but we're so excited about 2026 and what it has to bring for both sides of the front porch. So, we're really going to do a lot this year. And I feel like the
Definitely.
podcast is really going to excel and really do some amazing things. We've got some guests that's going to be coming on and joining us. So, look out 2026. Both sides of the front porch. We coming on strong.
Here we come. Y'all better be ready. Yeah, I've been
Exactly.
talking to some people who could come on and be guests, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'll be reaching out to them this week. So we'll get that squared away. And by the way, let me just put this out there. I did not get angry and turn everything off on the last podcast. My laptop went dead, but I'm fully charged today.
Charles, I was hilarious though. You said bye.
Bah, done. No, it really was.
So, but y'all keep liking, commenting, sharing, following us, and supporting us. We really appreciate it. But today, things might get a little, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but we're really going to kind of talk about, some current events, things that are going on with some celebrities, and our opinions and thoughts about it. Um, so, as you probably know, if you watch the news, and even if you don't watch the news, if you're on social media at all, um, we're digging into big names, big power, and big allegations. We're talking about Sean P. Diddy Combs, whatever you want to call him, Diddy, P. Diddy,
I've
Puff
liked them
Daddy.
all. I was a huge Sean Combs fan.
You was. You're not? No?
I don't really watch it. I haven't dug into it because that hurts me
Listen,
because I
well,
mean,
that's what we're going to talk about. I these cases have been dominating headlines, not just for what they allege, but what they say about how power and justice interact in America. You know, I haven't followed every single aspect of the trial or the case, but I do know that there was major allegations of sexual abuse. And here's the thing for me, from what I know and what I've seen. Sean P. Diddy Combs was having these freakniks or, these parties that he was inviting big celebrities to. And, you probably heard about all the baby oil that they found when they came in and busted his house. But he was
those poor Homeland Security officers are like, "Skew, skew, skew, skew. What's all this oil?"
Listen, he was living his best life, and all of these people were enjoying it. They didn't have a problem with it. They were coming
Mhm.
over, partying, participating in whatever extracurricular activity that they were participating in, fucking having a good time, enjoying themselves, lubing up with baby oil, having oil baths, whatever you want to know. I wasn't there, unfortunately. I wish I would have been, but I wasn't there. And then, of course, the thing with his ex came out to where there was abuse, and the video of him kicking her in the elevator came out. Those are
Mhm.
two different things for me. He abused her. That he needs to be put under the jail for that, whatever. But you can't
Absolutely.
relate the two, the abuse with the sexual allegations. Now, from what I've read and what I understand, and this is all alleged, she would help coordinate these parties.
Mhm.
There's text messaging and proof and documentation that shows that she would be texting people, hey, here's the date, the time, here's what we're doing, come and join us. For whatever
Right.
reason, when at a certain point in her life, I don't know what caused her to decide that she wanted to claim sexual abuse, that's when the shit hit the fan.
Right. But you can't tell me that there was no sexual abuse going on at these parties.
Well, now here's the
I
thing.
just believe that there was. I mean, you can't it's not like you're gonna act one way at your party and then act another way in your hotel room.
But when
You're the
but
same
hold on.
person.
You just said you can't tell me that there wasn't sexual abuse going on at the parties. Why do you say abuse? They were
Maybe it wasn't
voluntarily there.
abuse, let's say
Okay.
some type of sexual misconduct, if you wanna use that word. I just don't think that they're like, "Oh, yes, I'm gonna let you do this, and I'm gonna let you do that," or whatever the accusation was.
Listen, y'all, sexual abuse is a horrible thing. It is real. It happens to thousands, hundreds of people every day or
Too
whatever.
many people.
It's horrible. And if it's legit and if it's happening, the people that are doing it need to be, put in jail and never let out,
Mhm.
in my opinion. So
I agree.
by no means what I'm saying today has anything to do with the fact of downplaying sexual abuse. That's not what I'm saying at all. So please don't misunderstand anything that I'm saying because I think that anybody that was sexually abused should pay the consequences and
Absolutely.
for that. But here's my struggle. I don't understand how they went to these parties time and time and time and time again. The money was rolling in, right?
Money, status.
Celebrities, they were being introduced to all these celebrities that were there. They were living their best life until a certain point. So was
Mhm.
it not a problem up until it became a problem? You see what I'm saying? Why wasn't it a problem for them from day one? And why didn't they say, "Hey, I tried this one time. I didn't like it. I don't like what you're doing to me. I'm done. I'm out."
Or it could have been they just got on that party roller coaster and, you know, got involved in all these things, and they did not know how to get out of it.
Okay, let's dig deeper into that. So let me ask you, if you are going to a party and you go to that party and the people that are hosting that party say, "Tammy, we want you to do this, this, and this." And you're like, "Wow, I felt really uncomfortable. They hurt me. They did this. I felt like I was forced to do something I didn't want to do." What are you going to do as a woman in that vulnerable situation? Even if it was a celebrity, what would you do in that situation as a woman?
Well, I've never been on that level of that kind of scene, so it's really hard to say what you would or would not do. Now, if I'm just going over to the neighbor's house and their party and doing stuff like that, that's one thing. But when you're on that celebrity scene and you're at that status, you don't wanna be the only one who's not hanging out and partying with these people.
But you're agreeing to let those things happen just because you don't wanna miss out on the partying and the celebrities? So it wasn't a problem when you were being, you know, allowed to be introduced to, let me just call some names, I don't know, Usher, Beyonce, whoever was at these parties,
Right,
and I'm not saying
right.
that everybody that was at these parties, did bad things.
Mhm,
I think that there was probably drugs, there was sex, there was some freaky stuff going on there, but I think that these were voluntary participants for the most part.
mhm.
But let's just say these girls that claimed that they were allegedly, you know, forced to participate in sexual encounters and other violent acts, when do you allow it to stop? Or when do you make it stop? When do
As an individual.
Right.
I guess it just depends on where you're at. Like me, I would have been the first time I ever saw anything like that, I'm out. I don't like to associate with things like that. I don't party like that. So, you
I guess
know,
my struggle is I just don't understand how people can let these things go on for years and years and years and years, and then all of a sudden claim, "Oh my gosh, I've been violated. I was forced to participate in taking drugs and forced to participate in sexual encounters and other violent acts." But you let it go on for years. Why? I just feel like for me, myself personally, if I'm that offended or hurt or harmed by something, I'd be damned if I participated in it for years, years and years.
well, think of it this way. Look at all the domestic abuse situations. I'm not just talking about men who abuse women or women abuse men as well. Look how many people stay in those situations and never leave. Number 1, you don't know how. Number 2, you're just in it and you're like, "I don't know how to get out of this situation." So you stay.
Well, I can see that more so, I guess, more clearer than I can a party that you're going to, or,
But it's still your lifestyle.
right, but you can leave. You're not married to that person. You don't have, a home invested with that person. You don't have
Yeah.
children with that person. You don't have all the things that keep you into a domestic partnership
Mhm.
type situation compared to these freak offs that he was having and just inviting people to come. If you don't want
Right.
to do it, you feel some kind of way, you don't feel comfortable doing it, then don't come. But these people continue to come over and over and over and over and participate in these freak offs, and now they wanna claim, "Oh my gosh, I feel violated."
but you really don't know what was going on. All you know is what you see in the media.
Well, of course.
What was really going on? What really kept them there? Was it a cult-like situation where, if you get involved in a cult, that's not just something you're like, "Bye, guys, I'm out," you
Well,
know?
there was the one, his ex that, that had the video of him kicking her, at that hotel. I think she was a little more deeper into the situation than,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
random people coming to a party. Combs, Sean P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever you call him, whatever he goes by, was arrested in Manhattan. I guess one of his homes in Manhattan on September 16th, 2024. After federal indictments were unsealed, he was held in federal custody in detention center in Brooklyn. And a federal judge scheduled the trial to begin May 5th, 2025. So the trial went on, and then um, I guess eventually he was found not guilty of almost all of the charges.
Right. I think that I think there was obviously a case when you have Homeland Security coming in to raid your home. That's a little bit more than just having the local sheriff's department kick in your front door because they think you have drugs. That's a little bit more because you can look crazy all you want to because
Listen, Tammy, I think you're smart enough to know that Homeland Security, FBI, whatever law enforcement agency it is, they can make a case out of anything they want to make it out of. So they're going to
we'll
get,
say
you know what I'm saying?
I
They're
will
going to,
say that on a local level, you can articulate just about anything. But once you get into that federal level, that's a whole different level of law enforcement. And I was in law enforcement or public safety, whatever you want to call it, for 25 years. I saw a lot. So I know that it's more than just like, hey, we're going to go over here and we're going to get this judge to sign the search warrant. And we're just going to, there's more to it than that behind the scenes. What your general public never knows that what goes on in a search warrant.
I agree.
But
And I think that probably there were people that were, starting to, you know, scheme together. When one person started talking, the next person started talking. And do I think that they were lying about the drugs, the sex, and people coming in from, out of the state to participate in these freak offs? I don't think they were lying.
oh, not at
That was
all.
how the prosecution built their case. The prosecution built their case on, oh, you were having all of these freak offs and you were bringing people in from, out of the state, and you were hiring prostitutes to come in and be readily available to whoever wanted to participate with them during these parties. Okay, well, that's probably true. But guess what? That person voluntarily came willingly to do that. So why is that a
Mhm.
problem for law enforcement? If these people voluntarily came, maybe they were paid, these prostitutes or whoever they said came from out of state, they came knowing what they were coming into. P. Diddy paid them to come and be entertainment for the night.
That's the thing right there. That's to me, that's the big thing. It's the money involved.
But why?
You I just don't believe
It's
that all these people were coming out of the woodwork saying, I'm not talking about the prostitutes or whoever he's hired to be there to serve the alcohol or the whatever. But
Mhm.
I'm talking about once he was arrested, once they laid their case and all the things, I think that a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm fixing to get me some money out of this
Oh,
situation."
100%.
I don't believe that they were all
Absolutely.
like,
Everybody started seeing dollar signs. When one person settled with P. Diddy, they said, "Oh, wow. Well, they settled. I was at these parties, so why can't I get a settlement too? I participated in some of the same things. Why can't I get a settlement too?" So when the trial began in May of 2025, then it lasted for several weeks, and then about 3 days of jury deliberation, and uh, P. Diddy was acquitted of most of the serious charges: racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force or coercion. But he was found guilty on the lesser federal count, which was 2 counts of transporting individuals for prostitution. That's the only thing of everything that the prosecution built their case on. That's the only thing that the jury found him guilty of, which was 2 counts. So 2 people or either 2 different occasions. So 2 counts of prostitution, and that was related to arranging travel for sex workers and former partners under circumstances the jury deemed was unlawful. So for that, those 2 convictions on October
Tell
the
me what the 2 convictions were again?
2 counts of transporting individuals for prostitution related to arranging travel for the sex workers or his former partners to come to the parties and
Mhm.
participate in the freak offs.
Gotcha.
So he was arranging that, coordinating it. That's considered
Mhm.
prostitution. So therefore, the jury found him guilty on those 2 counts only, not the racketeering, not the conspiracy, not the sex trafficking, force or coercion, none of that, just prostitution.
I don't think he ever came back to being his whole self after the Notorious B.I.G. situation.
Oh my gosh, I wanna talk about that at some point. I watched that, Netflix documentary.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, on P. Diddy. It's a P. Diddy documentary, and it
Mhm,
includes a
mhm.
whole bunch of stuff about the Notorious, B.I.G. or whatever. It's really awesome. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it.
Yeah.
But on October the 3rd, 2025, Combs was sentenced by a judge to 50 months in federal prison. That's 4 years and 2 months, followed by 5 years of supervised release. Now, he was also fined $500,000, which is pocket change to him, I guess. Um, but he had already spent quite a bit of time in custody. So now, because of time served, his expected release date is around May of 2028. So he's still
Wow.
got 2 more year or 2 2 years and some more months.
I think he'll serve a year.
He's already served.
No, a year more.
I don't know.
I think
Um,
he'll serve about 2 years total. But
so
I don't care if you are a celebrity, I don't care if you're just somebody on the street that is homeless. I mean, that you're going from one extreme to the other. So you say a celebrity that's a billionaire down to someone who's homeless who doesn't even have a home. I think you should be held to the same standard if you do sexually assault
well,
someone.
that's a good point, but here's to the flip side of that. I think that they treated P. Diddy even more. They tried to give him more of a harsher punishment, hold him even at a higher level simply because of who he is. I think they tried to say, "Oh, well, we're gonna make an example out of you just because you like to, participate in freak offs and have people come into your house to have sex
Right.
and do all these nasty, unconventional things that the little Southern Baptists would never do."
Why does it have to be a Baptist? Why can't it be a
That
Pentecostal?
the Southern Pentecostal holiness or the Jehovah's Witness would never do.
Witness, they don't even celebrate your birthdays.
What you might, yeah.
I'm
Um,
good, I'm good.
no, I know it. So anyway, it's interesting to me, and it brings me, I guess, to another point, where these people started then suing P Diddy.
Mhm.
Uh, so since late 2023, dozens of lawsuits alleging sexual assault, rape, trafficking, and other misconduct have been filed. As of October of 2025, reports show that at least 89 civil lawsuits have been filed against him in various courts. Plaintiffs in these suits include dozens to over 100 alleged victims, both male and female, with some lawsuits involving multiple plaintiffs and many others filed individually. Legal teams have publicly stated that they may be representing over 150 alleged victims connected to these lawsuits. So, where were all these people at when this
During the
was happening?
trial?
No, when the freak offs were happening. They were there participating and having fun, enjoying all of the elaborate lifestyle that they were allowed to be a part of. The massive mansions, all of the glitz and glamour that you participated in when you were at his house. And now all of a sudden that these lawsuits, he settled the first 2 out of court to try to, I guess make this go away. And then when it wouldn't go away, "Oh, well, these people settled, so now I only get my share because I was at these parties." And next thing you know, you have over 100 people suing this man for millions and millions of dollars because of parties that they voluntarily went to, in my opinion. Now, again, if any of these people were mistreated sexually or done things against their will, then that's a different story for me. I think these people are just money hungry.
I don't think they're all money hungry. I think a lot of them are. Um, but I don't I believe that some pretty shitty shit went down at these parties.
What makes you believe that?
I don't know. I just do. I just feel like I just feel like there was something going on that was a little bit
Listen, I would tell you, I believe they were getting their freak on at these parties. There was fucking every corner, every sofa, every I believe there was drugs, Molly, whatever type of drug you could think of. If you wanted it, it
yeah,
was available to you. I
I agree with
believe
that.
there was multiple partners having sex with multiple people. I believe it was a wild, crazy party. I
Yeah,
believe it was crazy. Do I think anything in there was done against anybody's will? No, I don't.
I do. I
Then
believe
okay,
that
why did
I
they stay?
believe that there
Why
was
did they
some
keep coming back?
people who got into a situation to where they were like, "Well, this is more than."
Why did they keep coming
But,
back?
I mean, how do you know how many times they were at these parties? What if there were some people who were there just one time and they were like, "This is a little bit more for me, so I'm gonna leave," and they're like, "No, you're not leaving. You're here, so you're staying."
That's all speculation. I mean, if that happened, it was wrong. If
Mhm.
that happened, it was wrong. I think, just in my mind, I think based on these lawsuits coming up out of nowhere, when he started settling with a couple people to make this go away, I think people started seeing dollar
Oh,
signs.
yes.
And for example, Cassie Ventura, she's the R&B singer, the one that he was in a relationship with, that
Mhm.
he abused at the hotel, video of him abusing and
Yeah, yeah.
taping her.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, she sued him in November 2023, alleging rape, sex trafficking, and abuse, settled soon thereafter. Dawn Richards, a singer from Making the Band, filed suit alleging sex trafficking and sexual assault. Um, it just goes on and on and on and on. And then these people started coming up out of the woodworks, men, just people that have been to the parties, filing multi-million-dollar lawsuits. And you've got these, you don't want to call them ambulance chasers, but
That's what it
attorneys,
is.
you've got these attorneys that chase these type of cases,
Oh,
especially with
yeah.
somebody like P. Diddy that's a gazillionaire,
Mhm.
all they see is dollar signs. So for
100%.
me, I ask, when when do you take a step back and say something here just doesn't smell right? You had all these people coming to these parties and loved it, didn't have a problem with it until one or two bad things probably did happen to these people,
Ye
and then other people started saying, "Hey, I want some money too."
right. But I do
Cassie Ventura, by
believe
the way, I don't mean to interrupt you. Cassie Ventura settled for $20 million.
is she allowed to speak on it now?
Yeah, it says here Cassie the singer and Combs' former partner filed a lawsuit in November 2023 alleging rape, sex trafficking, and abuse. The lawsuit was settled very quickly, reportedly within a day, and was dismissed. During Combs' federal criminal trial, she testified that the settlement was $20 million.
Wow. Does she have
And
to pay taxes on that?
I'm sure she does. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And again, if somebody's truly harmed and is being forced to do something against their will, then I mean, of course,
Yeah.
that's always wrong. But it brings me to, what is his name? Like, I know we got to edit that out, but it brings me to, you know, Tyler Perry.
Mm.
Listen, I love Tyler Perry and his movies. I am going to try to pause this for a second. Let's not say anything. I'm gonna have to move him up to my bedroom. Scott coming home,
Yeah.
or Steven. It's easier for me to edit out this blank space than it is to try to edit out him barking over us talking.
Yeah. What is that other guy's name that I wanted?
Harvey Weinstein,
No,
Jeffrey Epstein.
no.
So this brings us to our next topic, which is Tyler Perry. I've always thought Tyler Perry has some sugar in his tank, honey. He's all my gaydar went off as soon as he started, producing his movies and being on TV. Look, I just I felt it from the beginning. Well,
A little flamboyancy there.
he plays that Medea part, that part very well.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's very many of the Madea movies that I haven't seen. I watch all of his, movies that he produced on BET. I love Tyler Perry.
I do too. And listen, I think that he's, probably hid his true sexuality for a long time because of the career he has and being afraid that if he truly was out, that his career would suffer. So at the end of the day, I think that, he's finally, um, coming, it's coming out of his
Yeah,
sexuality. So you had this one guy, I don't know, but a couple months ago who filed a lawsuit against Tyler Perry. Um, In June of 2025, actor Derek Dixon filed a $260 million lawsuit against Tyler Perry, accusing him of sexual harassment, assault, retaliation, and creating a coercive dynamic tied to career advancement on Perry's show, The Oval and Ruth.
and Ruthless. Yeah, I watched The Oval and Ruthless.
Um, $260 million. He claims that Tyler Perry made sexual advances toward him, asked him to have sex with him,
I don't know if I believe that.
and then I guess he claims that now Tyler Perry won't give him the opportunity to be in any other movies because he
Right.
turned him down, his sexual advances down. So now he's claiming that is
And and I have like I said, I have watched The Oval and I have watched Ruthless. And is it that he's not allowing you or giving you the opportunity to further your career, or is it just that you're a shitty actor?
well, apparently there's text messages to prove some of this stuff.
Jesus.
He was texting with Tyler, and Tyler was basically making little accusations or innuendos about, oh, well, you should do this, or you should let me come sleep with you, or, making these little statements. But how does that constitute sexual harassment? I mean, I guess to some people it does. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
But
sexual
$260
harassment,
million.
that's a lot of money. But sexual harassment, you know, being in management, you know that sexual harassment could be just a little of nothing and
Words.
people could just make,
It could
you
just be words,
know,
somebody saying something.
"Oh, my bra strap is killing me." "Oh, she just sexually harassed me talking about her bra."
Well, here's the thing. So this Derek Dixon guy, he was in the movies and Tyler Perry was making these little jokes with him and
Mhm.
saying all the things, and it wasn't a problem. Now that he's
Right.
not in the movies and Tyler won't give him the opportunity to be in another movie, I think he proposed being in another movie and Tyler Perry didn't give him the part or whatever. So now
Right.
you're filing a $260 million lawsuit, but it wasn't a problem when you were in the movies. So that's where I go back to that's a
Right.
problem for me. If you had a problem with what he was doing, you should have had a problem when he was putting you in the movies and you should have stopped it.
Right.
But I guess he
Right.
didn't want to be left out of the movies.
I guess. I
So
mean,
just weeks ago, I think it was his last week or week before, another actor, his name is Mario Rodriguez, who appeared in Boo, a Medea Halloween, filed a second lawsuit, this time seeking at least $77 million. His complaint alleges repeated unwanted sexual advances and sexual battery over several years, including at Perry's Los Angeles home. It also names Lionsgate, the distributor, claiming the studio turned a blind eye to what Perry was doing.
shoot. So not only is he suing the individual, he's suing Lionsgate?
But that's an attorney trying to get as much as they can get. You're not
Yeah.
only suing Tyler, you're suing somebody else that's got some
Right.
money, you know? But here, again, I'll read this again. His complaint alleges repeated unwanted sexual advances and sexual battery over several years. Why did you let this go and spawn several years? Because
Mm.
you were okay with it because you were getting paid, maybe?
You're getting that money and now you didn't invest your money properly. I don't know. That's just an assumption. But you're trying to get more money, just more and more money. It's that money game.
Well, I'll say both lawsuits have been publicly denied by Tyler's attorneys who have called them failed money grabs, and no criminal charges have been filed as of now. So again, the attorneys are also reiterating these are failed money grabs. These
Mhm.
are hot younger guys who, you know, probably gave. Let me not say that. I was about to say something I shouldn't say. Can you let me rephrase it. Do you think some of these people might have, or some of these guys, just the 2 that filed lawsuits against Tyler Perry, do you think that they might have been flirting a little bit, giving him the impression that he could talk to them this way?
Of course. Why would there be text messages back and forth?
And apparently, what I saw on the news, allegedly, um, the second lawsuit, there's text messages that Tyler's camp has released showing where the guy basically was trying to blackmail him saying, "If you don't do this financially, then I'm
Oh,
gonna do this."
right, right.
So, I don't know, that's just frustrating for me because I think it really puts a stigma on people that are going through true sexual harassment and sexual
Oh my
battery.
gosh, yeah. And is this gonna cause women who are or men, I'm not gonna leave the men out, women or men who are sexually abused and they're in situations that they are having a hard time figuring out, "How do I get out of this situation?" Is it gonna cause them to be even more fearful, or is it gonna boost their confidence where it's like, "I've had enough, now I'm gonna get out of this situation."
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to say that, related to Tyler Perry, these are civil lawsuits and not criminal convictions. They're legal claims where an individual seeks money or accountability from a person or a company. They don't automatically lead to a criminal case or jail time. Whereas with Combs, P. Diddy, you had both
I mean,
civil
they had
and criminal
yeah, they had a
charges.
criminal case.
Right. He was convicted federally on transporting individuals for prostitution, while many civil cases are pending. And then you have Jeffrey Epstein. That's a whole other situation that is an absolute disgrace to the United States of America, in my opinion, because the government, in my mind, has covered this up because there was a lot of government people involved,
Officials.
officials, yeah, involved in going to Epstein's home, and
Where was that at West Palm Beach?
I don't know, he had an island somewhere,
Okay, okay,
an island
gotcha.
somewhere. And, the fact that the government has fought so hard to keep these files from being released, in my
Mhm.
mind, that says everything we need to know. Why are you fighting so hard to keep them from being released? You can extract people's faces out or their names out, the victims, but why would
Redact.
yeah, why would you be fighting to prevent the files from being released? Because maybe your name's in it, maybe your photo's in it, maybe you guilty of something.
Or, I mean, think of well, less I mean, you're talking about stuff that's going on, like, in the past, say, 20 years or whatever. I wonder how far you could go back in history and things have just been swept under the rug in the
Yeah.
government. It's not this isn't something new. It's not like, "Oh, well, we're gonna start here
But
and this administration is doing this." No, this has been going
I
on for
disagree.
eternity.
I disagree in this specific scenario. Give me another scenario where you have a president of the United States of America who's fighting to prevent files from being released of someone who was accused of molesting children. Give me another example.
Of child molestation? I don't
No,
know
no,
any
no. You said you don't think this is unique to the government,
Nixon
where he fought to have files
to
released.
Oh, no, I'm saying to have things covered up.
Yeah. Well, no, no, no. I'm talking about Donald Trump and his administration have literally fought to prevent the Epstein files from being released. He said, "Do not release the files. We do not want them released. Do not release them. It's going to cause a lot of pain and suffering and this and that. Don't release the files." Fought, took it to court. Don't release the files. The court said files must be released. Gave Pam Bondi and the DOJ a specific date that all of the Epstein files had to be released. That date has come and gone, and they have released 1% of the files.
Oh, look at all the Kennedy files that they're just now releasing.
But that had that
It's
that's
not this isn't something that's new. This is things that have
but I
been
think
hidden
you have to compare
forever.
apples to apples. We're talking about kids that were sexually abused. I don't think there's no hesitation. There's no doubt. There's no debating that these kids were sexually abused. Everybody knows that. So we're trying to get accountability for the people, whether it's Bill Clinton, whether it's all the other people that were supposedly
That's
involved in
a
this.
whole nother
So
oof.
we're trying to get accountability, or these victims are trying to get accountability for all the people that were involved. And you've got the administration, the current administration, fighting to have those people named and accountability for the ones that were involved.
I don't know anything about this case, so I don't really have an
So
opinion.
funny how certain people don't know. I don't know anything about
He
that. I
threw
told you I
this
just
one
know a
in
ton
there.
about
I wasn't even ready. Like, he gave me the rundown of what we're gonna talk about. This person was not on there. I don't even know. I'll be honest, I don't even know who this person is.
it. Anyway, I
I'll read about it, and we'll talk about it next week, but you gotta give me an opportunity to at least
Tammy, if
read.
you're on Instagram or Facebook, you have had to hear about Jeffrey Epstein. If you've turned the news on or the TV, if you've turned Cartoon Network on, you've heard about Jeffrey Epstein.
I promise you I don't know who that is. I put it out there. I'm ignorant when it comes to that one. I don't know who that is. Put it on my life. I do not know who that is. So let me read about it. Let me do some research, and then I might can debate you on it, but
Well,
I don't even know what it is.
but without even knowing any of the details, because I don't know all the details, I simply don't think it's right for any government, whether it's Democrat or Republican. I don't think it's right for any government to fight to have files sealed and not released. I don't care. Why wouldn't they be released? And that was one of the things that they ran on and campaigned on. We're going to release the Epstein files. We're going to release the Epstein files. And then they're not released. But anyway, I just don't think that any government, whether it's Democrat, I think that Joe Biden was wrong for not releasing them before he got out of office. He should have released
Did
them.
you just say something against Biden?
No,
My lord, let's just put our you better adjust your crown. I have never heard you say a negative thing about a Democrat.
I think Joe Biden should release those files before he was out of office. He had the
Yeah.
opportunity; they were right there, and I know that the investigation was still ongoing at that time. And then Epstein ended up allegedly committing suicide in prison. Now, I think that's another story to talk about. And there's a huge cover up behind that. Did he commit suicide or was he killed? There's a lot of people that think he didn't commit suicide. He was actually killed because they didn't want him singing like a canary.
All those conspiracy theories, anything that happens, you always have the conspiracy theories.
Mm.
I don't believe any of that crap.
But again, I don't think, the thing about it is how will you ever know, How will you know whether he committed suicide
Yeah.
or whether he was actually murdered? There was so many people that wanted him murdered because they didn't want him telling all the things. And there's evidence after evidence
So
where
who is he? Is he like a celebrity, or is he just like a billionaire? Did he create something?
he was apparently like a really big socialite because you knew where he lived. You said Palm Beach.
And you said he had an island, so I guess I'm thinking about somebody else because I didn't who I'm thinking about didn't wasn't into like child pornography or anything like that.
Yeah, I think he was a really big
This was
socialite in Florida or something. And then he had some private island that he bought, but very, very wealthy. He had this partner. Her name was, uh, last name was Maxwell or whatever. And she was his accomplice. She would go out and recruit all of the young girls to come over and give Jeffrey Epstein massages. And the massages would then turn into sexual abuse. And these were minors. They were under the age of 18 years old. And then they would recruit other minors. So the minors would then recruit other minors to come and hang out with my friends. They were, extremely wealthy. They lived on an island. They had all this money. The kids have been, sprinkled with
Gold dust.
absolutely things that they had never seen in their life or ever had the privilege of experiencing, but they were being raped and required to give massages to all of these people, these celebrities, these politicians that Epstein would fly in, and they would all participate in abusing these children. And whatever his partner's name is, whatever, Maxwell, she was the facilitator of all of it. She would call the girls, she would coordinate it. She's in
What in
prison
the
now.
world?
Yeah, she's in prison now. She got sent to prison, and she was in a pretty bad prison until she met with some DOJ officials recently, and they just so happened transferred her to a much nicer prison. So now she's in a much nicer
Why was
prison.
she given a massage?
I'm sure she probably did.
I'm gonna read on this. I don't know anything about that. Maybe I
It's
was in a cave somewhere, or maybe I was in South Carolina.
not for years, honey.
No, what year was all this?
It's been going on for many years. This has been dominating the news for years. But at the end of the day, I get frustrated when, people try to benefit financially off of somebody just because, they have a lot of money and you agreed to go to these parties. So stop acting. Stop acting like you didn't like it. You liked it. You went to the parties. You
Mhm.
participated in it. You had an opportunity to say, oh, no, this is not for me. I'm out.
Yeah.
Nobody was holding you at gunpoint. Nobody required you to attend. You
I would
came.
like to know what that situation was like, because you don't know, we weren't there.
Right,
Were they required to say, "Once you can come to my party, but once you get here," like, I'm sure, like, remember
but he
years
didn't
ago
hold
when we
them
would have
indefinitely, though, is what I'm trying to
parties?
say. He didn't hold them indefinitely. So when they did leave, they could have easily went to the authorities when they
Or
left.
were they threatened?
Regardless, if I am going to a party and they're saying you can't leave until you fuck everybody in the house.
Oh, no.
Well,
Tammy's gonna be I have to go to the restroom, and I'm out the window. I'll climb out the window.
but
I'm getting
anyway,
out. You ain't gonna make
if
me stay nowhere.
that was, like, terrifying to me, and I didn't wanna do that, and I did have an opportunity to leave at some point, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call somebody that I love, care about, and I'm going to the cops.
So, were they allowed to have their cell phones at these parties and allowed to take pictures and all the things?
Apparently, there's videos inside of his home of these people having these parties, of these celebrities there, and, like, and some of them came, and didn't participate in all these activities, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I don't know, my frustration is people get so wrapped up in the financial side of it, and they just wanna start suing, and these guys start coming out of the woodworks, "Well, P. Diddy made me have sex with him, and P. Diddy made me do
Did
this."
he really?
You was loving it because you thought, "Oh, wow, I'm having sex with a celebrity. What am I gonna get out of this financially? How am I gonna benefit?" And then next thing you know.
They could have just made up this whole story. He could have never even touched some of these men, and they're just
Right.
making it up just so they can get a dollar.
Right.
Mm.
Like you said, we would never know because
Yeah, we
we weren't
weren't
there,
there,
but based
so
on the evidence that was, released during the trials, you know, what I heard is the government didn't like the fact that there was a lot of sex, drugs, and partying going on at these parties. They happen in the United States, all over the world, every weekend. They're called orgies,
yeah. Swinger parties.
swinger parties.
Yeah.
You have groups of people that get together regularly that have these kind of parties. But because I'm not a big celebrity or whoever has these parties, they're not big celebrities, nothing's done about it. It's not a big deal. Nobody
Mhm.
for me
Yeah.
or whoever's at this
That's
party.
because you ain't got the money that they do.
Exactly. So if it would have really been, an issue for these people and they would have really, Now, again, I think Cassie, the one that he was abusing, I think that's a completely different situation. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about these gold diggers that was just out to get money.
And I don't think that just because you're a celebrity and a billionaire, whatever, that you should be able to smoke drugs and all the things. You should be held accountable just like your layperson.
Oh, what's that other musician, the black guy? He's in prison now for having sex with all those younger age women. Oh my god, it's at the tip of my tongue. R. Kelly.
That's a whole different story. Think that those parents were getting that money and were allowing those kids to go over there. So I think that those parents need to be in prison or whatever, just and held accountable just as much as R. Kelly,
I agree.
period.
Yeah, I think that the parents got wrapped up in the fame and the finances related to all that, and they were allowing their kids to go over
My
there
kid's gonna be a
unsupervised.
star. Michael Jackson.
I don't believe a lot of the stuff about Michael Jackson.
Me
I don't
either.
believe it. I think that Michael Jackson was a different individual related to how he treated kids and how he felt, and he was just so nurturing, and he just loved people
Mhm.
so much, and I think that people took advantage of that because he was a gazillionaire, but I think, related to R. Kelly, I think that the parents should be ashamed of themselves that they
Absolutely.
allowed them kids, underage kids, to go over to this man's house unsupervised. If you're that concerned about it, then you should be there with your kids. Don't let them go over there unsupervised.
Exactly. Now that you're not getting a check and your child is in this house living. Now, I did watch all of those documentaries. And of course, it's a documentary. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. But in my heart of heart, you've got these parents who are standing outside the house and they're trying to get in. I want my kid. I want my kid. I want my kid. Well, you didn't want your kid when you were getting that paycheck.
Exactly.
That was that was another one. And I think that that situation is completely different than what P. Diddy, Sean, whatever you wanna call him, Puff Daddy Combs, that was a celebrity crush of mine for a long, long
Listen,
time.
I don't deny that I
But
believe he's
anyway, my point is, I think that that situation is completely different than
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think those parents are just as guilty as he are. It
The parents
was
should have been put on trial
yes,
and sent to prison for allowing their kids that were underage to go to this man's house and stay sometimes for weeks at a time, months at a time,
yeah, that's human trafficking in my opinion.
and the parents allowed it.
You took them to him
Mhm.
because you thought your child was gonna be this
But you know
celebrity or
how many
whatever.
times was this on the news about R. Kelly, and how many times did the government investigate it, and it was brushed under the rug for so many years until you finally got the right person in the system that said, "No, we have enough evidence. We're gonna bring this high profile celebrity. We're finally gonna bring him to justice." You know,
Yeah.
I think a lot of them.
But you do have to build a case. You can't just say, "Oh, well, we're gonna put everybody in jail just because A said this against B." That would be like me saying, you know, "We were doing a podcast and Edward was inappropriate."
That would be laughable. Nobody would believe that.
"What?" Like, "Adjust your crown, honey."
No, I often
No.
wonder, in situations like, these women that and men, not only women, but women and men that make these accusations, and then some of them will come back years later and say, "Well, that wasn't true. I wasn't telling the truth." They're never tried for that. They never go on trial for
Bill
ruining somebody's
Cosby
life.
Bill Cosby got into a whole bunch of stuff. That's a whole 'nother story too.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just hate that, like with Tyler Perry, like these guys know what they're doing. They are just trying to get paid. You didn't have a problem with it when it was happening, when you were in the middle of the whole movie, Hollywood, whatever, and now that he won't give you a second opportunity to be in another movie, then, oh, he was doing something inappropriate? Well, you should have told somebody that when it was actually happening.
When it happened. And I think that more people need if bad things are happening to you, legit, not something just because you need a couple of $100 or whatever. But if things are legitimately happening to you, then you need to come forward right then. Not you don't need to wait 5 or 10 years.
Well, I mean,
And
and
we need to teach people, you know, early on, like from childhood, if something happens to you, you need to come to me and tell me, be open. Don't be afraid to tell if someone's hurting you.
I think that the statute of limitations needs to be much shorter. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
And, now I'm not saying that to be mean, but I think that, if you've had something like this that's happened, you shouldn't have 7, 10 years to think about it and decide whether it really was bad enough to say something. You should be required to say something within a year's time or whatever, a much shorter time than 7 to 10 years or whatever the statute of limitations is now. That just makes no sense to
I
me.
think that 5 years would be,
It should not take anybody 5 years to come forward and say, "This person touched me or did something inappropriate to me." You should be able to come forward immediately. Everybody should feel comfortable to do that. I know some people probably don't for a number of different reasons, but let's give it a year. We got you a 12 good, solid, long months to come forward and say, "This happened to me." You should be able to do that in 12 months and in a
I
year.
don't know though, Edward. I've been in situations I've not been sexually abused, but I have been in situations to where you don't know how to get out of that. And for month after month, you're in this situation, you're on this roller coaster, and you don't know how to get off of this roller coaster. And one of my situations literally took me close to 2 years before it was like, "Okay, this is it."
Right, but I don't wanna dig into that scenario, but was it a sexual thing? Was it a sexual abuse thing or no?
No.
Right. I'm talking about more sexual abuse, and I guess you could probably say sexual abuse would be the same as what you're describing too. People are
Or
abused over and
worse.
over. I mean, and I know that there's certain scenarios to where people are put in these situations for years and years and years, but after it happens and after you're out of the situation is what I'm saying. So when you're out of that situation, report it then. Don't wait 5 more years later. When
Mhm.
you're out of it and you've left, you know what I'm saying? You've moved on. You've escaped from that trauma. You're not part of that situation anymore. Then don't wait 5 years to say something. Go ahead and say it then and let that person become accountable then. You got out of it. As soon as you get out of it and you're not afraid to talk about it or you're not afraid to, to be that you're not in that person's under their control anymore. You know what I'm saying? You're not under their control anymore. Then tell us then. Don't wait 5 more years or 7 more years to tell it, you know?
So you think it should be from, like, the when you get out of the
Right, not when it started, from when you get out of it, you've escaped. You're no longer being held captive. You're no longer being, in a household that you have to live in every day and be subject to that. You've moved on. Then you go to the authorities. Don't wait 5, 7 years. Go then. Because you're now no longer being controlled by that person or a
Right.
part of that cycle. You've escaped. So why
Mhm.
would you wait another 5 or 7 years? Go ahead and do it then because to me that makes you sound much more credible when you're okay, look, I'm out of it, I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell rather than waiting 5 to 7 years. Well, you've done something to piss me off, so now I'm gonna tell.
Yeah, I mean, what if in some of these situations, these women we'll use, Sean Combs again. These women are like, "Oh my gosh," and now they're terrified. If they say something, is he gonna have someone to come and hurt me more or kill me or hurt my family or whatever? You just don't know what they've been told or what's really going on. But now the Tyler Perry situation, I think that's just a couple of people needing an extra payday.
100%. And I
Yeah,
know that there's so many reasons why people, delay, reporting these things, and that could be
fear.
fear or shame, trauma, money, influence, no clear legal path at the time.
Yeah.
They're just terrified. There's so many reasons why, but and why they want to stay silent. But my whole thing is hopefully if you're lucky enough to get out of that situation, and I hope everybody is, when you are lucky enough to get out of it, then report it. get help,
Yeah.
report it, go to the authorities
Mhm.
right then and there, and start holding that person accountable in that moment.
Right. Get a support team, get counseling. Even if you come out of that situation, like I was in a situation, and of course, we're not going to get into that, where once I got out of that situation, I really couldn't talk about it until months and months of therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrible. And it wasn't physical abuse, a lot of mental abuse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mental abuse is just as bad as physical abuse a lot of
Oh,
the time, sometimes even more.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Well, I know that there's people and organizations that can help anybody that's going through any kind of abuse or, struggles like this. So we don't take that lightly, or at least I don't take that lightly.
Mhm.
And I understand, that delaying reporting this doesn't make it invalid. It doesn't make it not happen. I understand that. I'm just saying I think that in certain scenarios you have people that are looking for a dollar. You have people that are not honest, and that, puts a stigma on this across the board. But please do your research, find help and support if you need it. Reach out to us. We'll help you.
Absolutely. If you're ever in a situation and you need help, I am a phone call away. I will help you and I will guide you to where you need to go.
But again, thank you all so much for watching the podcast. We really appreciate your support. Tune in on all platforms. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.